Okay, everybody, today we're going to talk about dividing fractions and mixed numbers. Let's jump right into it. Okay, first of all, we need to talk about an inverse. The product of a non-zero number, so it can't be zero, product of a number and its reciprocal or multiplicative inverse is 1. So the reciprocal or inverse basically is the number flipped. Okay, so I have 3/4 times blank equals 1. Well, the reciprocal would be 4/3. I'm just flipping these two because, of course, 3 times 4 would be 12. 4 times 3 as the denominator should be 12. 12 over 12, same thing as 1. Okay, let's find the reciprocal. Okay, 1/5 times what would give us 1 whole? Well, I think we know that if we flip it, like I said, 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5/5 is the same thing as 1. Okay, so our reciprocal in this case would be 5 over 1. Okay, 2 1/3, mixed number, a little bit different. Well, we know, in fact we know this very well, that we can multiply and then add, multiply starting with the denominator. 3 times 2 gives us 6, plus 1 gives us 7. The denominator is 3, so that stays the same. So we end up with 7/3. 7/3 times what gives us 1? Well, if we flip it, we end up with 3/7. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 times 7 is also 21. That gives us 1. So the reciprocal of 2 1/3 is actually 3/7. Pretty cool. Okay, how this comes into play is when we're going to be dividing. So here I have 4/5 divided by 5. Okay, what I need to do in this case is to make it a little bit easier on myself. I have 4/5. I want to be able to multiply. It makes it a lot easier if you can just multiply across like we have been. Okay, but I can't just multiply by 5 because 5 is the opposite, or excuse me, because division is the opposite of multiplication. But if I find the inverse, and we know as a whole number, 5 is 5 over 1. If I find the inverse of that, if I flip that, I end up with 4/5 times 1/5. Okay, now I just need to multiply across. Easy stuff, right? 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25. I end up with, my answer is 4/25. So 4/5 divided by 5, 4/25. Okay, let's do some more examples of that. I know it's a little bit different. Okay, I have 2 2/3 divided by 1 1/6. Okay, here's what I want to do. These are mixed numbers. To make it a little easier on us, I want to create improper fractions. So I know I'm going to multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to, that looks like multiplication. I'm going to add. 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Denominator stays the same. So I have 8/3. This one over here, I'm going to multiply. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Denominator stays the same. Now, what I want to do is multiply. But I can't just multiply across because all I've done is convert it. I haven't found the reciprocal yet. The reciprocal of 7/6 would actually be 6/7. So I'm going to flip those. Now I can multiply across. Okay, 8 times 6, 48. 3 times 7, 21. I know I'm skipping ahead just a little bit. I know these can both be divided by 3. And of course we could make our chart and find that out. I'm just skipping ahead for a little bit of time purposes. Okay, that gives us 16/7. My answer is not going to be an improper fraction. I want to make that back into a mixed number. 7 goes into 16 twice. 7 times 2 is 14. 15, 16. There's 2 left over. Denominator stays the same. I end up with 2 2/7. Okay. Let's say I asked you to solve for L. I have 2/3 times L equals 14. Well, since this is multiplication, and we know that, I need to get this 2/3 onto the other side of the equal sign. okay? And I'm going to the way to do that is to divide that out, okay? So if I divided that by 2/3, that cancels out. And then over here I have 14 divided by 2/3. I know that's a little bit more difficult than what I want to work on right now. So really I have L, and I'm going to flip this around so I can turn this into multiplication. L equals 14 times, instead of 2/3, I have 3/2. To make this even easier for my multiplication purposes, I can put that as 14 over 1. 14 times 3, let's do the math. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so I end up with 42. 1 times 2 gives us 2. 42 halves. And so, seeing that those are both equal, I know that I can divide them both out by 2. 42 divided by 2 is 21. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my answer then becomes 21. Okay, let's do another example. 2x equals 1/3. Okay, well, I want to divide out the 2 so I can cancel those out. So I end up with 1/3 divided by 2. I don't want to do that. That's harder math. I need to make that into multiplication. So I have x equals 1/3 times, what would be the inverse of 2 over 1? I would flip it. I end up with 1/2. So x equals 1/3 times 1/2. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. I end up with x equals 1/6. Okay, here's what I'd like for you to tell me. Bring this tomorrow to class. Explain to me whether, let me write this down so you can see it. 2/3 x equals 4 is the same as 2/3 equals 4x. Is this the same as this? Good question, okay? You solve that, let me know, bring it to class, have it written down, we'll check it out. I'm very excited about this, you can tell. Can't wait, I'll see you then.